All right, so I think I was on the fourth or fifth bullet point. So if you're able to as well within your comments include photographs from either your property or public areas, taking into account maybe views, etc. Also, I think like Sean, Amanda and Marjorie said, obviously say what you want and how strongly you feel, whether that's you want the development refused or whether you can think it could be amended in certain ways, and equally could conditions address your concerns. Maybe if there's issues about overlooking or loss of privacy, maybe would the glazing benefit from being obscured, etc. And also look at the documents submitted in support of the application. I mean, is this correct? Is it factual? Is it right? And equally, I guess, lastly, don't feel the need to use planning language. Obviously, sometimes it's easy just to say how best you feel, quite broadly, really. I mean, in terms of going back to point two as material considerations, in terms of the things that the officer would consider, you've got the left-hand side of your chart. So, I mean, you've got previous application history. I don't believe there is any on this side, but it's good to consider maybe previous discussions that you've had or what was taken from maybe previous meetings. Look at protection of residential amenity. I believe that falls under chapter 3 of the local plan. You've got highway and safety traffic, which is chapter 8. You've got your visual impact and design issues. I know you mentioned about one of the towers being 15 stories tall and right next to the road. So look at maybe the visual impact of that, and does it relate well to its surroundings, etc. List of building conservation areas. I believe it's not in a conservation area or a listed building itself, but it is within close proximity to 3 to the site. So again, maybe consider the impact of the tall buildings in relation to the setting of these historic environments. If it's too close, or should be kind of softened by maybe lower buildings, really. I know you touched on housing, which falls under chapter 3, and that kind of concerns about housing mix, maybe social inclusion, kind of making sure that you're getting the kind of correct housing there, really, and most appropriate housing. You've also got noise and disturbance, which again falls under chapter 3. And then whilst I'm not familiar, because I haven't opened up the kind of constraints of the site, you also have maybe, I think you have got some trees to the north of the application site, which are protected by tree protection orders, or preservation orders, sorry, and archaeology, risk of flooding, and then kind of more zoned in issues such as disabled access into the buildings and around the site. So they're the kind of things I've drawn on, really, which may be relevant to the current proposal. And then in terms of when you're writing your letters or kind of comments, what I'd say to resist using falls under non-material considerations. And those are the things such as property values, a loss of view, protection of private interests in covenants, maybe boundary disputes and land ownership, maybe the activities of the applicant themselves, or I mean, in this case, it's Peabody, maybe they resist using their intent or kind of what your concerns are about them, really. And again, they're the kind of main key ones in this case. Again, but equally, you've got kind of fears of damage to property. Kind of avoid quoting these things, really. But again, I mean, importantly, if you're concerned about something, you're not sure whether or not it is material, by all means consider it, or at least write it in your comments, because the officer can always maybe dismiss it if it's not relevant, but at least they've considered what you've said. All right, and then in this case, in terms of finding an application, if you were to visit the islington.gov.uk website, I will quickly run you through how to do it, but I believe if we share this slide afterwards anyway, you'll have reference of the link. I'll just take you to the home page. Is this fine to do so now, Mark? And
yeah, please.
Melissa? Can you still see my screen?
At the moment, we can see the slides.
Just this, okay, hang on. Has this taken you to Islington homepage? Or
Yes.
okay, so if you were to use the link on the presentation slide, it will take you to the Islington homepage. You've then got an option to view or comment on planning applications. If you were to click on search planning applications, it will take you to the application searches tab. In this case, the application number is P2021/3273/full, and then click search. And here we have the application currently being considered. If I try and minimize this. So it'll tell you the application number, the site address, and what's being proposed. Again, it's currently registered, decision is yet to be made. If you click on the application itself, it should populate all the documents and applications. So right at the top, it gives you when the application was registered and when comments are available to be received by. If you were to click on the add comments here, that's essentially where you'll be able to drop your concerns in these boxes down here. All right. And then once you've completed each field that's required, just click submit. All right, I don't know if the slides back up again.
Yeah, they are, thanks.
Yeah, but I mean, that kind of concludes presentation really in terms of what's material. We can revisit it again and I will circulate the presentation slides. All right.
Thanks so much, Christopher. And I'm going to share a link that takes people straight to that comments page. But if, in case at any point that link doesn't work, everyone now knows